Senator Lindsey Graham has had not the most ideal ruling come down for him in regard to this Georgia grand jury investigation into Donald Trump and the surrounding individuals, including Lindsey Graham, their attempt to overturn the 2020 election results, specifically in Georgia. So what he was trying to do was claim, because he's a senator and particular laws surrounding senators and lawmakers having to answer questions about their legislative activity, that he shouldn't have to go and be in front of this Georgia grand jury. But an appeals court said, nope, you do at this point, but he has a few more legal steps he'll be able to take. From the Washington Post, Senator Lindsey Graham must appear before a Georgia grand jury investigating possible attempts by President Donald Trump and his allies to disrupt the state's 2020 presidential election. A federal appeals court said Thursday Graham's lawyers had asked the court to block a subpoena from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, claiming that a sitting senator is shielded from such investigations. But a three-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit denied Graham's request and upheld a lower court ruling narrowing the range of questions prosecutors can ask. Quote, Senator Graham has failed to demonstrate that this approach will violate his rights under the Speech and Debate Clause, the order states, referring to the constitutional provision that protects lawmakers from being questioned about legislative activity. And then finally, Graham can ask the full appeals court to reconsider the order or ask the Supreme Court to intervene. So as I mentioned, this is a good step. We're almost getting to where he'll have no other options and just have to go ahead and go in front of the Georgia investigation, the grand jury, which would be a good development in getting all the facts out. And I do think this Georgia investigation is getting stronger and stronger and could likely bring down charges of Trump and many other people around him. Again, they attempted to overturn the election results. And we got news recently that emails obtained by a different court show that Trump was made aware before he made the call to Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State of Georgia, that the claims he was making about Georgia were not correct. He was made aware of that by lawyers around him. And so then one of his lawyers warned, hey, we shouldn't be using these stats we've been citing of 10,000, dead voters, unregistered voters, blah, 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 because we found out they're not correct. Trump went ahead, ended up signing his name to a filing in a federal court, and then also ended up calling the Secretary of State of Georgia. So you can just see he knew what he was saying was false, but he kept going, kept trying to overturn the election results, which makes it that much worse. So if you forget how Graham filters into all this, he was on board with Trump's attempts, of course, and he was trying to help out Donald Trump by also reaching out to the Secretary of State of Georgia and pressuring him or suggesting to him ways that he could help in Trump's efforts. As a reminder, take a look at this.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham keeping track of Georgia's audit and today offering a full-throated defense of his strategy. According to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, the senator asked him if he had the power to reject certain absentee ballots. Raffensperger says he took that to mean would he toss out legally cast votes. Today, reporters asked Senator Graham if that's what he meant.
No, that's ridiculous. I talked to him about how you verify signatures.
Why is a senator from South Carolina calling the Secretary of State in Georgia anyway?
Because the future of the country hangs in the balance.
So you can twist the story any way you'd like, but a senator calling a Secretary of State and saying, hey, is there any way you could do something with these votes after there's already an awareness that the president who had lost in that state was trying to make the same thing happen, is very fishy. And if nothing else, maybe indicates that Graham was asked to do that or knew something about Trump's larger attempts in regard to the election. So good movements there with the Georgia grand jury investigation, and I look forward to seeing how it continues to progress.